Avila, a U.S. soldier, severely wounded by an IED explosion December 2011 in Afghanistan.
According to a stunning new profile in The Atlantic, following wounded Army Captain Luis Avila's rendition of God Bless America, Trump walked over to congratulate and embrace him. But moments after that, the former president told Chairman Milley, quote, "Why do you bring people like that here? No one wants to see that. The wounded. Never let Avila appear in public again."
I think that was a moment that was deeply unnatural for American military leaders, not just Mark Milley. They venerate veterans and combat survivors like Captain Avila. The idea that you would hide them, it's repugnant. It runs counter to their instinct. I don't think Mark Milley, when he came in 2019, thought he was dealing with Mr. Rogers. It took until Lafayette Square the next year for Mark Milley to fully understand what he's dealing with here.
Good evening, good evening, good evening. Thank you for joining us here for Get Into It with Taz and Chris.
Yeah, that's...
Mark Milley, you were a general. It should not have taken you that long to figure out who Trump was. But I've gone through a few rabbit holes, and I've noticed that there's a big military to MAGAville pipeline. Now, a lot of them are starting to wake up and see, Trump for who he is, but I don't understand how someone who has so brazenly and so openly disrespected the military is such a draw to the military.
Well, we already saw what he did towards anybody disabled in public when he was campaigning. So, this just goes into anybody. It doesn't matter if you're in a uniform or not. And besides that, he still disrespected the fallen. He still had no interest in showing up at cemeteries and stuff for ceremonies for somebody that had fallen and, pay their respects to the family, or he had no interest in that stuff. And this goes into the whole picture that a lot of people knew, but a lot of people didn't and should have. This is who he's always been. This isn't with Donald. Nothing he's done is off script from who he's always been. I mean, you can go back, if you look at talk shows that he's done back in the 80s, he's Donald. I mean, this is, he didn't wake up one day and decide, I want to be rude and crude and disrespectful. He was mouthing off way back when.
And today, I was sent some different comments, different posts from different people that people were like, "Oh, I'm shocked that this person is coming out in support of Trump. I'm shocked by this person." And I'm starting to notice that people are compartmentalizing Trump and literally ignoring everything else except for that little snippet that they can relate to.
Right.
And a lot of the little snippets that they feel they can relate to aren't even a part of Trump. They're not a part of anything he's done. They're not a part of anything that he stands for. And I'm like, I have not seen propaganda work this well since Betsy Ross and the Daughters of the Confederacy. And for those of y'all that are confused as to why I'm saying Betsy Ross, it's because everybody was taught, like in elementary school, that she created the first American flag. She didn't. Her nephew was a great marketer. He was great at PR, and he put that out there. That's why I'm saying that. And the Daughters of the Confederacy, we see the propaganda that they've put out there because we see and hear people regurgitate it even to this day. When information is right at their fingertips, they don't have to go through archives. They don't even have to travel to the library. But the propaganda around is astounding. And watching what I can of the current fraud trial, dear God. And I know that I'm doing my best to watch as complete of the coverage as we can, because you get still photos for the most part in court. In the very beginning, they'll let you take like a little bit of a video, and then you get all of his bravado during the breaks and everything. And I know that the right-wing news stations, even though they say they no longer like Trump, But I'm like, how are you not seeing that he's lying? And since we're on Trump, real quick, the gag order. I need you all to keep in mind this is a narrow gag order that only applies to talking about court staff. So if you're wondering, like, oh, but he's still talking about, yeah, because he can. This narrow gag order does not forbid his verbal attacks on Attorney General James, which was evident today because once again, he decided to add to the list of derogatory names that he's called her because today he called her, and I quote, a political animal. Now, if he does try to intimidate another member of the staff, if he tries to insinuate any type of attack on the judge, he can be put under sanctions. And those potential sanctions are penalties that are payable to the court, contempt proceedings, and the exclusion of evidence. Now,
Put a gag order on puppers.
I wish. Now, we know that Trump, every chance that he gets, and he's still having his legal team in court argue what was already decided on in the partial summary judgment. Now, the findings from that judgment, as Trump is trying to switch the narrative, as he always does, I need people to understand the information that was used for the judge to say, hey, this doesn't even need to go to trial, the fraud is so evident, is the information that Trump and his team provided. This wasn't, oh, AG James and her crew had all of this. No, they had pretty good evidence, but the rebuttal evidence came from Trump, and it proved that he was committing fraud.
Yeah.
He put the final nail in his own coffin. And this trial may not end until late December because they're just now on the second witness.
Yeah.
And it's because of all of the outbursts and such from Trump, because Trump is being so arrogant in court, even though this judge is not letting him get away with it and is showing like, Trump, you're getting on my nerves. Like Trump told a witness today in court, didn't whisper to his attorney, I can't hear him.
Yeah.
I could never.
I'm waiting for him to declare that he's still got bones first. You never know. Hey, let's throw whatever at the wall and see what sticks.
Exactly. We do have a real quick Wednesday recap to try to get everybody up to date on the current headlines. So we'll get into that and we'll discuss them on the other side. Y'all know how this goes. We'll see you in 2 and 2.
It's Wednesday night, and here's what happened. Drew Barrymore's writers refused to return to the show after she attempted to cross the picket line. CBS is interviewing new Guild writers. North Carolina's Republican-controlled state legislature passed 2 rules that I think you'll find very interesting. The first one sets up a secret police that would right now be controlled by Republicans. It's called GovOps, and it allows them to search and investigate basically anybody they want to for any reason at all. They can usurp client attorney privilege, they can request medical records, they can remove voting machines without needing a warrant. And the state lawmakers have also written a rule for themselves that says they don't have to answer FOIA requests, which is something that the Republican governor of Arkansas recently did as well. And both of those folks say that they had to do this for their own safety. What about the safety and privacy of your citizens? A drought in the Mississippi River has contaminated the drinking water for 1.2 million people in and around New Orleans. By the end of this month, seawater will have crept up into the fresh drinking water of the river and will make it no longer usable. The Army Corps of Engineers are bringing in barges of water to dilute, and the governor has authorized pipelines to bring in water from the north. A doctor in Pakistan was just arrested for stealing the kidneys of his poor clients and then selling them to his rich clients who were on donor lists. He's been arrested for this 5 times before. He's done over 328 operations that we know of. And he had his mechanic friend administer the anesthesia.
There's so much to unpack. But let's start. I knew when we originally discussed the North Carolina secret police for the GOP that eventually it was going to come out that they were going to slip something in regarding voting. I didn't expect them to be able to remove the voting machines because the voting machines are owned and operated by private entities. So that's new. And now I have a clear understanding of why they're targeting independent contractors. Because the companies, they hire independent contractors to go out, service thing. Oh, nothing says we know we ain't shit as a political party and we're not going to do shit for you, but we still want to be in power like the current GOP.
It's about numbers. It's about power, it's not about doing, it's about being the majority. Because they know any other way, they're not going to get the majority. They lose all the popular votes. They don't come up with things that people actually need. So they use their majority to do things that are unpopular because that's their agenda. That's what they like. That's who they are. So, yeah, in North Carolina, they have a super majority, which means they keep on overriding the governor's vetoes because we had a candidate who switched parties and gave it to their side. So, yes, this is just North Carolina. It's happening all over, people. So it's nothing new. It's been going on for a while now.
Yeah, the latest one
even in the Commonwealth.
Yeah, the latest one was the mayor of Dallas who flip-flopped and then forgot that he had been running the city of Dallas as a Democrat since 2018. It was like, well, in Republican cities, the crime is better. Bruh, you brought down the crime as a Democrat.
That's a cinema logic. Or Cameron.
Cameron doesn't have any logic, okay? He doesn't even have a spine, okay? He's
in a sequel, Clueless sequel.
He is SpongeBob, okay? He just
Commonwealth, darn it.
Yeah, he gonna drive us all into common poverty.
Yeah.
Now we all know that Kevin McCarthy was ousted as Speaker of the House. And the chaos that has caused in the House of Representatives. Now, there are 3 videos I want to play for you all. Then shut up.
Ooh.
Then I have some updates, and then we'll talk about it. Here we go.
He's already trying to.
Okay, so Kevin McCarthy was just ousted and cult media is pitching weird fever dreams over this.
It was a bipartisan effort to remove Kevin McCarthy, but that's going to continue to grow because now the next question is, well, now that we don't have a speaker, we don't have a House of Representatives that's functioning, which is great, hopefully till January 3rd of 2025. But there's going to be a vote to determine who the Speaker of the House is.
That's right, these people want our government to shut down. Yeah, you probably wouldn't recognize him. He was one of the big actors in 2020 that pulled the little puppet strings to come up with the Pence card. So Ivan Raiklin has been working with multiple members of Congress to throw chaos into our government. But who does he want as Speaker of the House?
Donald J. Trump to be the Speaker of the House and grant him full immunity so that he can now do what's known as a boomerang and create the necessary retribution.
That's right, they want to put somebody as the Speaker of the House for retribution, not because he's qualified.
Move to impeach every single lawless actor in that executive branch.
And they want to impeach everybody who's a Democrat because, well, fascism. But on the list of people that he wanted to impeach was the TSA administrator because he was on a watch list. I can't imagine why. But the next step to this phenomenal plan that people are just eating up?
State legislatures in Arizona, Wisconsin, Georgia can go ahead and say, you know what? Yeah, the electors we transmitted in 2020 are now proven for the whole world to see as illegitimate. We're going to go ahead and reclaim those, trigger a 12th Amendment contingent election that Speaker Trump will preside over.
Yeah, he's still hung up on 2020. Serious question that they didn't seem to think through here. Why would they need a 12th Amendment when they impeach everybody and the Speaker of the House is third in line?
The only option is to continue this fight until they bend to our will. Let's bring on 500 votes, either until the end of the 118th Congress, which will be January 3rd of 2025, or for them to bend to select and elect Donald Trump.
But like I said earlier, he really wants the government to be shut down or Trump to be elected speaker. And his love is so great for Donald Trump that it doesn't matter about any of the other consequences. But I think this next part was my favorite part of their little make-believe land.
I think that the logical course would be him to be speaker, appoint Ivan Raiklin as the sergeant at arms, bring in people like Mike Lindell to make sure that they're protected.
So he wants to be sergeant in arms so he can go around arresting anybody he'd like. And he wants Mike Lindell to make sure everybody's protected. Now I know there's a 0% chance that any of this happens. But if 2020 taught us anything, it is to not ignore the fringe. Now here's what I'm worried about with them ousting Kevin McCarthy. McCarthy was so terrified to function because the MAGA cult. They kept threatening his speakership if he didn't do what they wanted. And because the red wave completely failed in 2022, he had to keep bending a knee to them. And then they removed him because he did what was right for the country and put a bill forward to keep the government open. Any Republican that sits in that seat is going to be worried about the same exact thing. Or there's not going to be an agreed speaker and the government's going to shut down in 40 days. And what if they put somebody that's worse?
Update from today's shenanigans with Kevin McCarthy getting ousted. So we have a speaker pro temp in place by the name of Patrick Mahenry, who will kind of sit in the position. He was named secretly by Kevin McCarthy when Kevin McCarthy won the speakership in the event that there needed to be a succession plan for continuity of government. So not that he is going to be the next speaker, but in the event that something catastrophic happened or that Kevin McCarthy at the time became incapacitated, this person would take the reins. This is also him who slammed that gavel very, very hard. Let's watch the clip and talk on the other side.
Accordingly, pursuant to Clause 12A of Rule 1, the Chair declares the House in recess subject to the call of the Chair.
Someone's upset, but that's not really the biggest thing. In his first act as Speaker pro tem, his very first act, he takes his frustrations out on Nancy Pelosi, who is not even in Congress today. She missed the vote today because she decided to fly with the body or fly back to California to be, with the family of Dianne Feinstein because they were friends. In one of his first acts, he is kicking Nancy Pelosi out of her current Capitol office and is going to rekey her office tomorrow. It's giving a lack of decorum and respect. The woman is not even there. One person can call the motion to vacate and I'll back you up. Kevin, are you dumb? One, do you think I'm about to believe that story? But even if that story is true, why would you believe her? It continues to show that you cannot make a deal, that your judgment is off. You mean to tell me in order for you to get power, you made a deal with hardliners to allow for one person to call for your job, knowing they don't fool with you like that, but did it because you thought Democrats were going to back you up when you don't even rock with them like that? In what world, Sway? In what world? And if that wasn't bad enough, Congressman Troy from Texas said that he's going to nominate Trump to be Speaker of the House, which is absolutely chaotic. However, he could do it. You do not have to be a person in Congress to become Speaker of the House. Anybody can be nominated. I can be nominated. You could be nominated. And if they get enough votes in the House, then they would become the Speaker of the House. Do you know how chaotic, absolutely chaotic, that would be if he nominated Trump and the Republicans coalesced and voted around him to become the Speaker of the House? Insane. Absolutely insane.
Now, for anybody confused about the secession order and the duties, responsibilities, etc., of the Speaker of the House, I did detail that history and all of that over on my TikTok page. Let me update you all on this, and then we'll get into the conversation. Now, there is a preliminary potential list of successors to the speakership, and that is Tom Cole of Oklahoma, who is currently the Rules Committee chair, Tom Emmer of Minnesota, who is the majority whip, Garrett Groves of Louisiana, Kevin Hearns of Oklahoma, Jim Jordan of Ohio, who has already confirmed that, yes, he is running for speaker, Patrick McHenry, McCarthy's homeboy and McCarthy's current pick, who is currently the Speaker pro temp, and he's out of North Carolina, Steve Scalise, who is the second in the House as the majority leader, and he is currently making calls to garner support. And keep in mind, Jim Jordan is also a co-founder of the Freedom Caucus that is causing all these shenanigans right now. Now, there was no secession plan for the ousting of McCarthy. And a lot of the people on this preliminary list are McCarthy loyalists. And it was no coincidence that McCarthy put in there that Patrick McHenry would be Speaker pro temp, because, and a lot of people are like, but McCarthy said he's not going to run again. It doesn't matter. If I can Svengali a puppet and still have that power, I'm going to do it. Now, a rule change would need to occur, or the speakership under the GOP would be nothing but a revolving door. Many of the GOP are frustrated with the antics and tactics of the Freedom Caucus, and the GOP presidential candidates have mixed responses regarding the ousting of McCarthy. There's a breakdown for that over on TikTok because that was going to get too lengthy. The House GOP is not willing to compromise even with their own caucus. So just prepare for basically a revolving door of speakers. 2 representatives are willing to back Trump as speaker, and that, as you can tell, is Troy Nehls of Texas, who wants to nominate Trump for speaker, and of course Marjorie Taylor Greene out of Georgia. Now, Trump said today when speaking to the press while on break from his trial that, you know, he said a lot of people, that's 2, bruh, that have asked him about it, but he's focused on his presidential.
We know how he got through school. So.
Yeah, from his presidential campaign, because he said he's up 50 points in the poll, and I'm like, dude, no, you have 50% of just the GOP.
Yeah, he didn't remember. He skipped school like the whole time. So
yeah, and you do not. It is true that you do not have to be a member of the House to be nominated, but also keep in mind, no one in the history of the United States and the history of Congress has ever even come close to being a non-member and the speaker. Also, keep this in the back of in your back pocket. Jesus Christ, dude. Now, traditionally, it is agreed upon that someone from the majority party in the House gets voted in as speaker, but that is not the rule. That is not a part of the Constitution. So I'm just saying, if y'all like at a few people on Twitter /X, or, you know, email your representatives and say, you know what,
I got
and Hakeem Jeffries really showed us exactly what he could do over the weekend by rallying the troops. You might want to say, hey, y'all, just go ahead and vote in Mr. Jeffries.
If not, I got a second. Keanu Reeves, John Wick.
That would be something. That would be something.
Yes. Keanu. Speaker Keanu. I like that. Or Mr. Wick.
Yeah, just don't touch his dog.
Just Mr. Wick. Yeah, well, you can have puppers.
Somebody can come touch this one.
You can have puppers.
I think puppers would be the first creature on the planet to stress out Keanu.
This one is free, Keanu. This one is free.
The thing that it is, I've watched Keanu Reeves have his motorcycle hit on camera by a woman who couldn't park. He did not lose his cool.
Yeah.
I've seen people bombard Keanu Reeves at airports where he didn't even know he was being recorded. He kept his. I pretty much think 3 minutes with the boomer that is puppers will have Keanu Reeves instantly go gray and age about 60 years, and he's gonna lose his shit.
Yeah.
Because you're stressful.
Yeah. If you really want to see John Wick retire, put him with puppers.
He's so stressful.
Yes. Yes, the good old party that doesn't want to actually serve the people, serving their benefactors. I mean, it's meanwhile we have, you know, old Joe out there fighting for, you know, insurance stuff and, you know, medical stuff, you know, things for the people. And you can say what you want about Joe. Yes, we know his age. We know Trump's age. But the fact is, anybody that's going to do a job, what are you doing for the people? Like, we don't, when it comes right down to it, how is everyday Americans benefiting from whatever it is you're bickering about?
And I know the GOP, not only because I know the big story about Joe Biden coming out of the GOP is his age. But y'all know my brain is set different. So a lot of times I focus on things that everybody else isn't focusing on. Sometimes it's a good thing, sometimes it's not. But they're also really nitpicking on his net worth. And I did some digging the other night because, insomnia. And I was like, why are they so worried about his net worth? Because it's not like they're broke.
Yeah.
It's because Joe Biden continues to live like the average American. That's why they're pissed that he's like, okay, he's amassed all this money and he's not living like an elite.
Yeah.
He's in a upper middle class neighborhood, and he's just chilling. He's still doing regular stuff with his family.
Yeah.
He's not asking for anything special.
People forget that he took the train for years from Delaware to Washington. He's what they called Scranton Joe. I mean, he's as vanilla gets. Yes, he's gotten older. Yes, he was not everyone's choice, but
at least he's trying to keep his word. He is doing his best to keep his word. Also, anyone who has student debt, once again, over on TikTok, there is a video and there are resources marked on the video. There is a new program. You can go to studentaid.gov, like government, G as in go, O as in Oscar, V as in Victor, and get some help. And there's another resource. I can't think of it right now. But Joe Biden did come out today and say, hey, I'm still trying to work through this with you. There is a long-standing program that he admitted no one was telling the people about. So only a handful of people who had attachments or relations to government officials knew about it. Only 7,000 people have been helped. And this is supposed to be a program to help many people. So I'd say go see if you qualify. Because at this point, as long as this program has been there, you probably do. You probably do. Your debt might end up being forgiven. I don't know. I'm just saying it might, depending on, the parameters that you fulfill. But even in talking about age, they're not really talking about Trump's age or his mental capacity.
How about his take on history? How about him and confusing George Bush and Jeb Bush? I mean, you want to talk about Joe? Yeah.
Then claiming that anybody in the Bush family wasn't using the Bush last name, and I'm like, are you serious? There are Bush women who have gotten married. They treat the Bush name like they treat the Kennedy name. Okay, they're not. They're going to hyphenate that till forever.
Yes.
Because Jackie Kennedy was not a birthright Kennedy. She married a whole nother man and still hyphenated her name. Jenna.
Yeah.
First of all, Jenna Bush, she flip-flopped her married name and her maiden name.
Well,
you gonna know I'm a Bush.
some hyphen and some flip. Yes.
I'm like, what?
But I'm not. The last thing I'm worried about is at this point is Joe's age. I mean, unless it really came down to like, hey, there's like a candidate who is considering running and he's super popular because he can do certain things or whatever candidate it is, compared to we really got nobody except for someone that still wants to fight for some of these things compared to the other side that does not fight for what people want. They take away. So, look, I mean, I know there's been a quiet rumble about Gavin Newsom out of California. There's been some names thrown out there. I think these are more future names than current. But yeah, I mean, at this point, you're going to get some voters out there that were on the fence that are like, hey, I don't want to see a repeat of these are my two candidates to vote for again. And so I'm just going to sit this one out. Yeah, we hope these people on the fence will at least go on the side of, hey, this one wants to actually still help the public. And that's what it comes down to. Who's helping who? Are we helping the wealthy, or are we helping everyday Americans get through things? Are we helping students? Are we helping certain communities? Are we helping? What are we doing for every day? That at the end of the day, that's what you're going to see.
Very much so. Real quick before I go into this Fulton County update, we know that in New York, everyone except for Ivanka is on trial. It did come out today that there were emails confirming that the Trump family knew about their shady dealings and the fraud. And Ivanka was a part of those emails. She had comments like, oh, yeah, I'm so glad this worked out. I'm paraphrasing. She is on the witness list. I am waiting for, if she is called, the epic meltdown, because I feel like she's flipped. I feel like she's already flipped and she's going to throw her father under the bus, because let's not forget, this woman paid attention to everything that her father did. And if anybody, when it comes to business, is a carbon copy of Donald John Trump, it is Ivanka.
Yeah. And he's had a scary thing about his daughter for quite some time.
Mm-hmm. So, now, coming out of Fulton County, if you all remember last week, we got one person to sign a plea agreement. And I told you that they would be offering Sidney Powell a plea agreement because, Scott Hall, all of his crimes were attached to Sidney Powell. Well, plea deals are currently floating about, and about a handful of the remaining defendants have been contacted regarding said plea deals. The plea deals are including reduced charges, and the offers so far are not concrete because nobody has really sat down to negotiate their plea deal, except for one person, Michael Roman, who is a Trump loyalist, who confirmed that he rejected a plea deal. And this is someone who is accused of organizing the fake elector slate. So it's all bad for him if he wants to just ride it out with Trump and think that Trump is going to be loyal to him. Bruh, you are sitting indicted alongside of Trump, and Trump hasn't even given you a shout out, a tweet, a phone call, a text, a spit by your foot on the street. But okay. And then the biggest news coming out of Fulton County, y'all gonna love this. I hope everybody put your beverages down because you're about to laugh. Excuse me. Rudy Giuliani has lost his local counsel and is now looking for new representation. Most of the local attorneys that have not already been swooped up do not want to touch his case with a 10-foot pole.
Oh, no, not the mayor. Not the mayor of 9/11. Oh, no, say it ain't so. Not the mayor from Borat. Oh, goodness. What's this world coming to?
And I couldn't find the substantiated reason as to why his attorney dropped him. I'm going to say this is allegedly, this is just a hypothesis, non-payment, because he's already being sued by multiple law firms, even friends of his because remember, Rudy was an attorney. He is now disbarred, that he didn't pay and he stiffed. He's going back to court because he did not pay the mother and daughter election workers that he was ordered by a judge to pay. I'm guessing, let me repeat, guessing that it's for non-payment. I could not find anything concrete where somebody said, hey, we verified this. I couldn't find anything from the attorney themselves saying, hey, this is the reason 100%. There were people insinuating a bunch of different reasons, but I couldn't pin it down by the time we went live tonight.
I got a suggestion for Rudy, and his new legal team of what it could be. There's a man right now that's probably looking for work because he's dealing with some credit issues with some people. Mr. My Pillow himself, Lindell. He might take like a weekend legal class and be able to help out Rudy there because he's looking for work himself. Since My Pillow,
especially when American Express lowered his limit.
Yeah, that whole pillow thing is, it's just a bunch of synthetic material.
Rudy better get to working at Mickey D's fast. That's
the Rudy Happy Meal. Yeah.
But do you know how quickly? First of all, now I believe in trying to ride for my friends. Okay, now if y'all do something illegal, I'm not gonna necessarily snitch on you, depending on what the crime is. Like, it really depends on what the crime is. I'm not gonna snitch on you, but I am gonna try to convince you to turn yourself in and do the right thing. And I'm gonna stand beside you in the shadows, but I'm gonna stand beside you. But if one of my friends gets me in trouble because they're lying to me, they have a position. I've never held the position. I don't know all the ins and outs of the position. They're telling me like, nah, girl, it's cool. You can do this. I got your back. I can make sure I can write this into this, an executive order. It's cool. And then I find out you lied. I'm no longer riding for you. I'm going to be the cage bird that's singing because I'm not staying in this cage long. Okay. Rudy, you ain't got no money. You are the definition of a homosexual, and you don't even have a woman that you can push up on to get to even sleep on her couch. She won't even let you borrow her debit card right about now.
His kids have come out. His kids have come out on TV to talk about, we don't know who this man is. This was supposed to be our dad.
He needs to go tell it on the mountain, over the hills, and everywhere. Tell it all, Rudy. Start telling it now. Okay, tell it now. Do not pass go, but although you need to actually go past go, collect the $200 because you're gonna need some train fare. Go talk to Jack Smith, go talk to Miss Fawny, hell, go talk to Miss Letitia, talk to everybody. Call up Alan, call up Eileen, call them all up, bruh. Call them all up. Tell everybody everything that you know. That is your only saving grace. Okay, the only saving grace.
Even Jared and them, they're like, look, don't come asking for legal help. Look, we got our own stuff.
And my thing is, once again, I do not care how Trump wants to portray things. I'm gonna keep saying this till people remember his daughter that he's decided not to fuck with, since he was very inappropriate about her as an infant, about the size of her chest, is an Ivy League attorney working for a firm. The fact that you're not utilizing her and you're not trying to convince her to help your friend Rudy, and we know Rudy holds the keys to the kingdom. If anybody can bring down Trump, it's Rudy Giuliani. And why Rudy is holding on, I don't know. Because Rudy, even if Trump has something on you, everything that we've already found out about you that's already been substantiated, there's nothing that could be worse. Unless you are sexually assaulting baby squirrels, there's nothing worse you can do at this point. We run the gamut. Ain't no way.
Did he not look at the Michael Cohen situation? Did he not see what happens when you try to take the fall and you're left out there in the cold all Michael alone? Cohen,
Alan Weisselberg.
Nobody's visiting you. Nobody's talking about you other than you were the worst thing. I mean, you're getting thrown under the bus quicker than you're going to get a visit at the local correction center. So, Rudy, it's already been there's already examples out there of legal teams and people that got out successfully, and there's people that said, I'm a loyalist. I'm going down for the cause. And at the end of the day, if you weren't the winner for him, then you are nothing to him. So, Rudy, your family doesn't know who you are. You're broke. You got hair dye down your cheek. And at the end of the day, no one's going to remember 9/11 with you involved. No one's going to remember about the mob bosses going down. They're going to just remember you going down in the Trump ship that slashed probably from the old Trump University boat. So yeah, I mean, Michael Cohen, it's like, have you not been paying attention? Like, the guy's trying to bring his career back around because he knew he did bad things for Trump. It's just that not everybody has that light bulb turn on and say, you know what, I'm okay to talk about it because I've already been stripped of everything out there that ever existed. I'm disbarred. I'm everything else. So Cohen's like, I'm just trying to save my life now.
And see, here's the thing. 9/11, as horrific and tragic as it was a saving grace for Rudy Giuliani. When 9/11 happened, it kind of wiped from the memory of the majority how horrible a mayor Rudy Giuliani was. How racist, misogynistic, and sexist and bigoted he was as a mayor. It wiped the slate clean for him. He could have rolled off of that till he hit the grave. But no. He was way too power hungry. And he was like, and first of all, Rudy started off as one of those people that snubbed Trump. He felt Trump was too lowbrow for him. And then when Trump decided to run for president, he was like, oh, more power. I can have adjacency to more power. And now you don't have no power. You don't have no money. You don't have no, like, Rudy, you know you ugly. Okay, you ugly as shit. Your first wife was your cousin. Okay, we make jokes about, you know what? I almost took my cousin to prom. You did it and more, you nasty bastard.
Yeah.
We know that you was trying to get the money and the power so you could get women, and you have none of them. You have none of them. You obviously want somebody to touch you, and don't nobody want to touch your body. You are not Mariah Carey, okay? Ain't nobody trying to touch your body. Ain't nobody, okay? No, the doctors don't even want to touch you, and they got to.
If he was ever to make a plea deal, what's he waiting on? Like, if he needs to sing, because Trump will not be there for him. He will end up throwing him under the bus. He'll do the Trump thing and tell him, me and Rudy didn't talk that much. He was the worst thing ever, blah, blah, blah.
Because let's not forget the fundraiser that Trump promised him, and then it ended up being a piss poor online television that really didn't even make an appearance on. So there wasn't really that much money raised. Before we close out the night, some people are familiar with this, some people are not. I did try to give people information that was available yesterday. There is a released from prison after 17 years school shooter that has gained a following on social media, on TikTok and on Instagram that I can confirm by the time we went live. But here is some very important information that you do need to know before moving forward, and that you may want to share with people who are trying to defend his bullshit. So please stay close attention.
Your screen froze.
Let's talk about John Romano. I made a previous video about him, which I've later taken down because I've uncovered more important information that I think needs to be known. Here's what we currently know about him. In 2004, John Romano committed a school shooting at Columbia High School at the age of 16. He injured one teacher, pled guilty, served 20 years in prison. He entered a plea deal and was released after 17 years of serving. 1 year ago, at the homeless shelter that he was working at, he was attacked by a black man with swords and nearly lost his hands and legs. I'm not here to discuss if he should be on this app at all or not, and I'm also not here to discuss whether he should have received more punishment or not. However, he needs to address several comments that he has made, which has been highly controversial, and also be accountable for several statements that he has said, which has proven to be untrue. And this is what I've uncovered. In previous videos, which are currently still up on his platform, he discussed the events of the shooting that he carried out.
I was not there to kill, but to be killed. I was not there to kill anybody. One was right in front of me, and he ran for his life. And I turned around a corner and I seen 2 more students, a good 40 feet down the hall. So I fired off 2 rounds into the ceiling and scared them away.
John stated that he encountered one person. He didn't say that he pointed a gun at him. He also said that he encountered 2 more students and fired 2 rounds in the ceiling. This directly contradicts the statements that I found in court documents as well as witness statements. He pointed his gun at 2 students. One said that he saw him pull the trigger and saw a flash from the barrel of the gun and he dropped to the ground. The other student made the same account in his witness statement, that he saw him point and fire towards that student. John confirmed this in his plea deal, so why isn't he speaking the truth on this platform? In another witness statement from a year before the shooting, somebody said that John was telling a story about he choked a person named Barry when he was drunk and he started to turn blue. He moved towards the witness Erica and he grabbed her neck using his arm and started choking her. The nurse said that her muscles were bruised. In 2003, 1 year before the shooting, she stated, "I want to say that I am afraid of John Romano and I want something done for what he did to me and something done to keep him from having contact of any kind in the future." So now let's discuss his attack that happened last year, where a man with 2 swords attacked him in a homeless shelter. He states in numerous videos on his account that this was racially motivated, that this was a hate crime because he was white and he was a black man. He refuses to acknowledge the disparity between his sentencing of 25 years and John only getting 17 years in prison. While he acknowledges white privilege, he has never directly stated the actual injustice that has been carried out with this man's imprisonment. But from what we can see about the following, he needs to be accountable for the lies that he is spreading across this platform. He needs to listen to black people talking about the disparity in which that he is already a free man after 17 years and his attacker is facing 25 years. He needs to also stop calling this a racially motivated attack, because it's not. And he also needs to be clear whether he's monetized or not. We need to know where the money is directly going from all the PayPal and donation links that he has on his profile. If he is an advocate for prison reform and rehabilitation and about reintegrating back into society, then he, as a big creator, also needs to understand that reintegrating back into society means listening to what the people have to say and critique about him. He needs to stop being so defensive and he needs to actually listen.
Now, I'm going to tell you why he's lying about his school shooting. He wants sympathy. He wants to pretend as if he is the great redemption story that a lot of people who are related to school shooters and mass shooters would love to believe that their family members would have been, could possibly be. Number one. Number two, he knows good and damn well nothing about his attack was racially motivated. I've said this before. He played the security footage from his attack on his page and then turned around a week later and lied to people. There was no back and forth. There were no words exchanged. The guy came in and went straight for him. So there was already a problem. He's not going to tell you if his accounts are monetized, and he's going to continue to take PayPal accounts because it's against the law to profit off of your crimes. So he's trying to fit into that gray area. And him saying, "Oh, I'm working with cops to prevent a school shooter." How? First of all, people are not cookie cutter.
Yeah.
If you look at these manifestos that are coming out from mass shooters and school shooters, everything is different. Now, sometimes the only thing that's the same is racism at times, but other than that, their mental state at the time, everything else. This is a man who terrorized people. And if what he had to say was true, he would encourage you to look up his case, and he would not be on social media. And he wouldn't keep cutting all of his comments off. Right. Because everybody's like, "Oh, you should forgive him. You should forgive him." In a day and age where George Floyd is dead, and still vilified for not even committing a crime, for dying.
Right.
So excuse me if I don't have no damn sympathy for a white man who's a damn psychopath.
Right.
Like, how was he supposed to help prevent anything when he has no desire to prevent himself? He went from choking people to trying to shoot people, and he was just a piss poor shot. And last night I caught a snippet of a live that he was invited onto on TikTok, where the only thing that he wanted to address was the host saying that he was a bad shot. He has no remorse. He doesn't care.
No. There's a whole different tone you'd have if things were true and sincere. I mean, you're not just in your thoughts over time, but you're truly working towards being a better person, realizing what you did, realizing who you were, realizing what you are. And like I said, if you're not working at anything inside of you, then you're always going to be looking at the situation from the outside, and you're not working on yourself at all. I mean, there's people that can change, that grew up, in a household of hate, and a light bulb turned on and said, this is wrong. And, I see that it was a bunch of BS, and everything I've been told my whole childhood was based on racism and based on just pure hate. So if you're not looking at yourself first because you fed into it in the beginning, at least you allowed it to be a part of your life and who you are, then regardless what you do, whether you commit a crime, whether you kill someone, whether you do something out of hate, whether you beat somebody up, whether you bully somebody, there's always going to be that side that's in you. Unless you work at the problem, work at why is it in you? Why do you see things the way you do? And that takes somebody to actually make an effort.
Mm-hmm.
So without effort, there's no result.
Exactly. So
go out and get your merch. Oh.
Final thoughts on the night.
Is there merch? Oh. There's merch. Okay.
Now I'm redoing.
Give code Keanu for 5%. I'm just kidding. Code Keanu. Final thoughts. It's a wacky time with that party on the right. Why do we keep getting entertained by that party on the right? While the ones on the left are just like, look, we just trying to work for y'all. We just trying to give you something that you actually can use. We're the whole circus thing ain't working on the right. The circus ain't bringing nothing to you.
Because I thought Ringling Brothers disbanded.
And that's why we all turn to streaming and sports and things to get our minds off of things. And I get it. I just hope that ultimately in the long run, it doesn't hurt the ballot box, because I know a lot of people are sick and tired of just the whole circus act, except that it's not coming from the left, but yet it encompasses the whole political landscape. And I don't want people to forget there's still a lot of danger coming from that circus. And if we're not careful, if we don't go vote, then it can be a lot narrower than a lot of people say, well, if I don't vote, there's so many people that think the way I do, they'll go vote and they'll do this. Don't leave it up to other people. Don't leave it up to other people. Because then you'll find a whole bunch of people thought the same way and sat at home. So yes, a lot of us still believe that, ultimately democracy will prevail, and, the whole autocrat and fascism thing will weed itself out, but it's scary because it doesn't go away overnight. once it settles in, it's going to be there until time. It's going to take time. I mean, but that's why we have streaming, people. So check out your local Hulu and Netflix and things for your viewing pleasures, because you got to get your mind off of something sometimes, and make sure you binge a little bit. And for those that haven't gone into Disney and seen some little bit of Star Wars things going on in there, check it out. But yeah. That's all I got, because like I said, I can't talk really football. I'm just a hopeful fan for my team with the new ownership, and we're just trying to win games the hardest we can and give it our best. Got a game tomorrow night against the Lonely Bears, which I hope we prevail that one. So I will be on Prime tomorrow night.
Yeah, I'm trying to keep hope alive, because right now my team sucks. My team stinks on ice right now.
We need Sam Weish give a locker room speech. That would have been. They would have. I don't think Zach Taylor would have ever given a locker room speech like Coach Weish.
Nope. And we need our no huddle. We need our no huddle offense back at this point, because Boomer, hey Boomer, let me talk to you for a minute.
Yes. Yes.
Norman Julius Esiason, come
yes.
to the front, okay? I'm gonna need you and your homeboy Chad Ochocinco.
Oh,
I don't give a damn about retirement, okay? We need you. Just go and grab anybody's jersey.
On Chad.
Anybody's jersey, okay? And Chad, tell T.O. to stop talking about wanting to date white women exclusively. We black women don't date him because we just don't like him. He ugly, and he don't be looking at us. But go ahead and grab him too, and y'all make it do what it do. Make it do what it do, because I'm tired of getting roasted on streets.
You got Hoosh.
Yeah, Hoosh, baby. I remember what you like on your Subway sandwich. Okay, my son used to make them for you. I'll get you all the Subway sandwiches that you want. As a matter of fact, Rudy.
Oh, Rudy
Jones, Mr. Jones. Little Mr. Pocket Pimp himself. Come on back. Come on back. I promise. I will. The jokes will be at a minimum this time. I promise. Okay. It'll just be like 2 jokes a week.
Can we get back to the Icky shuffle? Can we get back to the Icky?
Icky. I almost forgot about him. Mr. Icky. Can you get fucking belly counter and shuffle your ass back into the intro? We need you, babe. We need you. Akili, no, I'm not calling you. You stay to hell over on somebody else. Stay on the couch. Akili, you can't come back. You can't. No.
And we still don't want Barry Larkin.
And hell no. And Andy, Mr. Dalton, don't come back either.
Or Carson.
Definitely not Carson. Carson, you will catch these hands. Carson, if I see you anywhere near the tri-state area, catching every bit of these hands. Speaking of streaming, if you are a fan of the original, would you shut up? I'm gonna take you outside. Good grief, you're a menace tonight. Quit. If you are a fan of the original Dynasty, it is streaming over on Prime Video. So go get you a bougie beverage and a bougie snack and get it together. And as always, thank you all for watching. I'm about to go cuss out your K9 nephew. And y'all make sure you check out the link.
I told you, gag order.
Yeah, he about to get a gag order. And
I bet you take away his Joy Reid.
He about to go a whole month with no Joy Reid. I watch her on the MacBook with headphones on. So as always, each one teach one, each one reach one. Till tomorrow, y'all.